So it's often said that what we are trying to do is take trans rights away. And I want to kind of have that as the question, or not the question, but that in the background of your head. Is there a right to self-identify? Is that a protected right?
In our law?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
And that's a really important point, because there is a myth that is prevalent on social media that the Equality Act gives...
Equalities Act, I think you'll find.
I have ordered the T-shirt that has been produced by Billable Hour that says it's the Equality Act 2010 in bold. I can't wait. When I get home, it'll be waiting for me. The Equality Act is thought by some people to give a right essentially to self-ID because it's being misread and misrepresented. What the Equality Act does under the protected characteristic of gender reassignment is that it protects people with that protected characteristic, which we can broadly call trans people, although it won't cover all people who identify as trans, from being treated badly because they're trans by comparison to people of the same legal sex as them who aren't trans. So being bullied or being sacked because they're trans or whatever. What it doesn't do is protect people who are trans from being treated as if they are the biological sex that they are. So it doesn't mean the right not to be bullied because you're trans, for instance, doesn't imply a right to be treated as though you are of the acquired gender that you claim to be. It just doesn't work like that. And one of the technical boring, again, I'm going into the dry black letter law here, but if you're a trans person without a GRC, so you're a trans woman without a GRC, under the Equality Act you're a man, and if you're bringing a complaint of gender reassignment discrimination under the Equality Act, you have to compare, again it's the comparison, which is at the heart of the Equality Act, the comparison exercise, to compare the way you were treated with the way in which a man was or would have been treated in the same circumstances. So you say, okay, I was, somebody put a horrible note on front of my locker at work, and they didn't do that to my colleague who was not subjected to that treatment. That colleague needs to be a man because he's a person who is the same as you and in the same circumstances as you are, apart from your protected characteristic, which is what the comparison has to be with. Somebody who is, to all intents and purposes, the same, apart from they don't have your protected characteristic. So that includes having the same legal sex as you. Whereas if you're a trans woman with a GRC, then you can compare the way you were treated to a woman. So it's a bit more complicated in that context. So it just simply doesn't involve the right to be treated as though you're of your acquired gender at all. I mean, there may be circumstances under the indirect discrimination provisions where you might be able to bring a claim that as a trans person, or trans people generally, and you as an individual trans people are put at a disadvantage by not being treated as if you were of the acquired gender, but it's a real long shot in many factual scenarios, in all factual scenarios, I would say, and is by no means a slam dunk at all. Indirect discrimination is very, very difficult to prove, and there are lots of steps that would be difficult in a claim of that sort. So no, certainly the Equality Act does not give any right to self-ID. That is definitively the case. The GRA, the Gender Recognition Act, doesn't give any such right, obviously, either. There is one and only one legal route to being treated for most legal purposes, or no, not even most, many legal purposes, as though you're of the opposite biological sex, and that route is to get a gender recognition certificate. There is no other route. If there were, there'd be no need for GRCs.
Moving on to though, yeah, go ahead.
Can I answer that question?
Yeah.
Sex Matters is a human rights organisation. We want to protect everyone's human rights, and underlying the Equality Act are the human rights. And so when people say trans rights, we want to know what rights are they? What human rights are they? Because human rights are universal. everyone has them, they're the same. And the European Convention on Human Rights, which is the one that applies to us, says wear what you like, call yourself what you choose, have sex with anyone. Oh no, it doesn't say that. No. But it does, basically. And so it says you have freedom of belief, which is close to my heart, freedom of expression, Article 10, freedom of expression. And in that respect, you do have the right to self-ID. You have the right to say, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm non-binary, I'm a trans femme. You have a right to wear what you like, not when you're at work. When you're at work, you've got to wear what's in your uniform or your workplace code. So the right to self-identification, as in to call yourself what you like, you do have that right. That's your right to freedom of expression. But it's not an absolute right. It can be constrained. And you have the right to lie about, you have the right to lie in your private life. The government can't come around telling you have to tell the truth, apart from in situations where you do have to tell, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And, that's when you're dealing with the law and the state and officialdom, and where the state is coming between you and other people and saying, actually, here, you do have to tell the truth because we're imposing a rule and the rule is fair. And in order for us to impose this rule, we need you to tell the truth. And in some situations, if you don't want to tell the truth, fine, go somewhere else. Don't engage with this particular rule. Don't engage with this particular service, which is for women only. But live how you choose in other spaces. And I think, then because there are people who feel uncomfortable, unhappy in those situations, services do have to think, particularly where you divide people into male and female, in order to get from one place to another. So in order to get on a plane, you have to be searched. But it's a very small part of getting on the plane. You don't want to say that some people can't get on a plane, or they can't go to a concert, or they can't go to the cinema. So you can try and make you can make accommodations for people as you make accommodations for people with all kinds of special needs, but you don't have to break every rule, and you don't have to say people can lie in places where you expect people to tell the truth.